Parent Advocate Podcast, a show where we celebrate, defend, support, and uplift the voices of the LGBTQIA community. I'm your host, Stephen Chikumba. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Lizette Stephen.
Hi, everyone. Lizette here, she, her, aya. The mission of the Parent Advocate Podcast is to elevate conversations and reframe narratives around trans and non-binary youth to help change hearts and minds. Each week, we bring you our take on all things happening from the perspective of two parents of BIPOC transgender kids.
Lizette, this has been an Olympic week. I can't wait to get to our guests and talk about all the things.
I'm so here for it because I've got a lot on my mind and I want your take on all things happening.
Well, welcome everyone once again to the Parent Advocate Podcast. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right, Lizette, talk to me. Has your week been as whirlwind as mine?
Maybe not though. So this week, recap, I forgot to tell you that for Daniel's birthday, he got a special surprise, which was that the Alliance Fund, which is a local fund here in town, added a youth award to their Queer for Good gala, and they are naming it the Daniel Trujillo Upstart Award.
Stop it.
I know, it's sweet, right?
That's awesome.
I know. Okay, so that was a moment. And then on Friday, we got to go to the Kamala and Walz rally in Arizona, 20,000 people. It was pretty amazing. I was super amped. I was nervous that she was gonna take her cop tone to the protesters that were protesting for Free Palestine, but she didn't. She said, I acknowledge you. We are working on a ceasefire, and it's not as far as like a weapon, like, an embargo on weapons, but it's something. And I know it's not going to be a perfect ticket, right? And so I think we're juggling multiple things as we support Kamala along the way. So that was amazing. And then yesterday I ran support group. So it's been crazy. And today I'm working my real job, pulling paintings. So it's been a whirlwind. Daniel's doing good. What's going on in your family and in your life?
So the Dad's Foundation is almost live.
How many organizations are you going to have at this point?
Child, too many. But this is a passion project. Ever since we went and filmed in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and came together as fathers, I realized that there is a real gap in effective support groups for fathers. Dragon Dads is great, and I think for like a Facebook online group, it does what it's supposed to do. But in terms of like the one-to-one and that proximity sometimes that you need in support groups, I think the Dads Foundation is going to really fill a gap that's been missing. So I'm excited for that. The website is live hopefully in a week. Our fundraising efforts are live. Our social media stuff is coming together. So I'm just excited about all the work that's been happening behind the scenes regarding the Dads Foundation.
That's amazing. Is Jose still helping or not? And also, too, I just want to say, Dragon Dads is great, but they're also a religious Mormon-led organization. And so it'll be great for you to have like your own spot.
That part. So Jose is still participating. Let's be clear, he's very adjacent, but he's one of the founders, notwithstanding, and everybody gets in where they fit in.
That's right.
So I am putting the finishing touches on my manuscript. I think I've told you before, I've been writing feverishly because I've been inspired, and I'm at like 156, 157 pages, and I'm going back and like filling in the blanks for the stuff that I wrote. I'm very excited about the possibility of actually being finished and having somebody publish this manuscript. So very, 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 very excited.
Fingers crossed.
And then speaking of books, I just started reading A Short History of Trans Misogyny by Jules Gill Peterson, which someone recommended to me a while ago. And I just finished Free to Be, and I was like, okay, this is the next book on the list. I just started reading it. I will probably finish it today. It's just such a good and easy read.
I can't wait to get it started. Yeah, right now in our book club for our parent community, we're going to read The History of the Transgender Child, which is Jules Gill Peterson as well.
Yes. So that I think is going to be the book I read after this one. That's not true because I have a whole stack of books that I purchased and have not read, but I want that one as well. But we'll talk about that later. And before we get into our book club idea, we have a whole show to do. So before we lose track of time, let's get into today's topics.
Let's do it.
Lisa, did you hear about the recent lawsuit filed against Planned Parenthood by a detransitioner, Christina Heinemann. The lawsuit alleges that the organization recklessly provided gender-affirming care without adequately challenging her desire to transition, leading to lasting emotional and physical harm. The suit accuses the organization of negligence in providing her with gender-affirming care, including hormone therapy without sufficient psychological evaluation, and highlights ongoing legal and ideological battles surrounding gender-affirming care, with the plaintiff's legal team leveraging right-wing arguments to make their case.
Yes, Stephen, I did see that. And it's really concerning because it underscores the growing legal attacks on gender affirming care. I do want to note, though, that detransition care is gender affirming care. And so if a person really, really needs that care, obviously none of us would stand in their way to get it. But this is also rooted in misinformation and political agendas. While we must take every claim seriously, it's so crucial that we remember that detransition cases are rare and that gender affirming care is life-saving in any of its forms. The lawsuit seems to be part of a broader effort to undermine trans rights and the medical care that supports them.
So I just want to add a footnote onto this case because the firms representing the plaintiffs are all firms that have been paid for, bought and paid for by the right. And so it is not a case where there are not these serious, concerning political undertones to it. So let's just be clear about the specific agenda behind this case. And I have all sympathies for Christina Heinemann, but I feel that she's a patsy in this case.
Absolutely. I also just want to tell our listeners that the Alliance Defending Freedom's national home office, which is in Arizona, is next to a dumpster behind a TJ Maxx in Scottsdale. So that always makes me feel a little bit better. Just taking that visualization. All right, Stephen, let's move on to another news tidbit. Washington State Senator Emily Randall could become the first out LGBTQ Latina in Congress this fall. This week, Randall won the Democratic primary for Washington's 6th congressional district and will advance to the general election in November. When Randall was elected to the 26th legislative district in 2018, she became the first queer state senator in Washington history. Since entering the race for Washington's 6th congressional district, she has been endorsed by LPAC, the Human Rights Campaign, PAC, the LGBTQ Plus Victory Fund, and the Equality PAC.
That is so amazingly said. If Randall wins in November, she'll be making history on multiple fronts, not just as the first out LGBTQ plus Latina in Congress, but also by amplifying the voices of queer and Latina communities at a national level. Her endorsements from major LGBTQ plus organizations show just how significant her candidacy is. It's exciting to see more representation in Congress, and Randall's journey could inspire so many others to step into leadership roles.
Stephen, I just can't wait. It's so exciting.
Well, in other news, Valentina Gomez, the Missouri Republican who chased anti-LGBTQ plus clout with a campaign ad chiding voters not to be weak and gay, has officially lost her bid to become Secretary of State in a truly embarrassing fashion. In Tuesday's state GOP primary, Gomez placed a distant 6th, losing to State Senator Denny Hoskins, who will go on to face Democrat Barbara Pfeiffer in the general election this November. We previously profiled Gomez, who received national attention for a video ad on social media in which she told voters they can be anything they want in the US, so don't be weak and gay, stay fucking hard. But her video didn't receive the type of reaction Gomez was fishing for, partly because of the camp of it all. Gomez, perhaps unintentionally, filmed the video while jogging in St. Louis's historic Solar District, a longtime home of the LGBTQ plus communities and queer nightlife.
I guess people can't be anything that they want to be, right, Stephen? I mean, that part, right? It's also clear that the hateful rhetoric doesn't always pay off. Valentina Gomez's loss is a reminder that voters are increasingly rejecting these extreme and divisive messages. Her campaign ad was not only offensive, but it was also out of touch with the diverse community she was trying to appeal to. It's reassuring to see that her attempt to gain attention through bigotry backfired, and hopefully this sends a message that inclusivity and respect are what truly resonate with voters. All right, I know. Okay, so on to some exciting news. Team LGBTQ plus are now in 7th place at this year's Olympics, tied with Italy in the medal race. Team LGBTQ plus, all of the publicly out lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and queer athletes, is currently sitting at 7th place in the medal count, with an impressive 30 medals consisting of 9 gold medals, 11 silver medals, and 10 bronze medals. Team LGBT LGBTQ plus consists of nearly 200 LGBTQ plus athletes. For context, Team LGBTQ plus won a grand total of 32 team and individual medals, 11 gold, 12 silver, and 9 bronze in the 2021 Tokyo Games. Japan are just in front of Team LGBTQ plus with 33 medals, while South Korea and the Netherlands are close behind with 28 and 25 medals respectively. And the USA are way out front in front of everyone with 103 medals.
Lizette, seeing Team LGBTQ plus in 7th place at the Olympics is a powerful reminder of the talent and resilience within the community. With nearly 200 out athletes competing and already earning 30 medals, they're making history and showing the world what representation looks like on a global stage. It's especially exciting that they're so close to beating their medal count for the last games. With just 2 days left, let's see if they can do it. All right, enough with the Olympics. We've got to get to our guests.
I can't wait. Let's do it.
Mya Figueroa is a 14-year-old who will be starting high school this fall. Mya loves singing, dancing, acting, theater, musicals, and cheerleading. In her free time, she enjoys writing songs and the art of putting on makeup, as she would call it, getting glam. Mya advocates for transgender rights. Her hope is that one day transgender individuals will be treated equally with respect and dignity. She believes her hope can become a reality by educating people about being transgender. Mya realized she could make a difference and impact when she educated and spoke to an Arizona senator about the effects of a harmful bill that would have affected trans youth negatively. Mya has been featured in numerous magazines and publications, including Mission Magazine and Vogue, about her passion for educating the public and being visible as a youth who is transgender, but just like any other teenager. Everyone, please welcome Mya Figueroa to our show.
Yay, welcome to the show, Mya.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we just want all of our listeners to know that Mya's mom is in the background.
Hi, everybody.
Mya, can you share a little bit about your journey as an LGBTQI youth and what inspired you to become an activist?
Yeah, I started transitioning at age 7 and it was really smooth. It was great for me. And I wanted to advocate because I know a lot of people are scared or don't have the confidence to advocate for themselves. So I wanted to advocate for everybody else. And I'm hoping and achieving that.
I appreciate the fact that you have stepped into the forefront to advocate for trans rights because you are such a young person. But Arizona has been a test state for anti-trans legislation for the last 10 years. What has it been like for you to grow up in this environment? And what do you think is the most important thing that people need to know about the harms that these bills can cause that are being filed year after year?
It's unexpected living in Arizona because there's so many just like laws or stereotypes that just go around. And I think that it's very unexpected when it comes to living in Arizona.
Well, and let's elaborate on that because I think when you're saying it's so unexpected to experience this, you have shared with us like you've experienced discrimination in your day to day, but that's very minimal when you're talking about going to school and the support you get from your family. I know something that Daniel has talked about, and I've heard you kind of echo the same sentiment, is that the place where you really face discrimination is having to go up to the state capitol and testify and or speak to our state leaders. Does that kind of like difference between your day-to-day life and then hearing about it, does that ever make you nervous, or do you kind of shrug it off and just think these are crazy politicians who don't know what they're talking about?
Well, I'd like to think about the second one, but most times, you kind of get worried about it. But I try to just shake it off and just be who I am because I don't know, nothing can change that. And yeah.
I love that. So in the most recent round of anti-trans legislation, Stephen shared earlier in your bio that you were really impactful in stopping a bathroom ban that would have been put on the November ballot for public vote. And because of your sharing your story and sharing with the senator, he was the deciding no vote to this bill. What was that like? And how did you feel like learning that you had such an impact? And were you afraid before you went into the meeting?
I wasn't afraid. I was more afraid of what would happen for others, and I was more sympathetic to the other people that would be devastated if this was put into law or on the ballot. So yeah, I felt very nervous going in, but words just kind of come out when you are really passionate about something.
So I want to dig into that a little bit, Mya, because I don't think people who are listening really appreciate what's happening in this moment. You had a private meeting with Arizona state senators. What was that like?
Empowering. I say that every time, but being this type of person to go up to senators and people in that area, it's nerve-wracking, but also it's empowering to know that you have such a hold on what you say, and like you have a big meaning to everything you say.
It's interesting because you and Daniel are these visible young advocates at a time when everyone is looking towards the youth to lead us. Like, I just had a meeting earlier today where everyone was saying the youth are the future. And it's important that people like you are actually stepping in and doing the work, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take people getting involved. And I just love that that's what you're doing. So where did you get that energy from? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Just kind of came naturally from, like I said, knowing that other people can't do it for themselves. So I kind of got the energy from those people and just kind of put it all into one and just let it out.
So are you this way in school? Are you involved in the student government? And because I'm looking at your bio and you do a lot of stuff. Where do you find the time?
I don't do like school stuff, public speaking or debate or anything like that. But you kind of just make the time. You kind of have to when it's something that's important. You kind of have to speak up for your people, and yeah.
So Mya, our podcast is about, well, it's geared towards parents and the importance of supporting their trans youth. So as a 7-year-old, what were the most important things that your parents did to help you feel supported?
I think just asking the question, do you want to be a girl? Do you feel correct being a male? I think just my parents supporting me in general and kind of not caring what anyone else says is what really pushed me. So.
I love that, because you said what everybody needs to hear. My parents listened to me and they didn't care what anyone else says, because that's who matters. People keep thinking, oh, what are you doing and this and that? Like, I'm sorry, fool. Are you in my house? If you're not mom or dad, or mom and mom, or dad, or non-binary or non-binary, if you're not raising me, step out, step to the side, kick rocks, get out of my face. I love that you said that, because that's what people need to hear.
It is. It really is.
This is our episode, because Lizette will always try to say what she thinks. I'm trying to talk to Mya today. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, ask your question.
Go ahead. You were saying something about how important it was for your mom and dad or your peoples to protect you from the outsiders, because they were the only thing that mattered. Go on, finish your statement.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a statement. Is period.
Okay. Well, I wanted to follow up with another question, Stephen. I wasn't gonna go on a keep. So Mya, I think too, like what's really, really important when we're talking about trans youth is that often, because you use the word want, like that your parents use like this language of like, do you want, do you feel? But as a 7-year-old, you really don't have language. You just know. I'm wondering, like, how were you showing your parents that you understood who you were, right? Like, for example, Daniel was building little Lego men and leaving them as clues, right? That's what he told me, that they were clues. But that he had like this sense of knowing. And I remember meeting you at 7, and you were very self-assured in who you were, and your parents were very supportive. But what was that like for you to be around a bunch of adults who maybe just didn't get it?
Like you said, it's kind of hard to speak as a 7-year-old and kind of speak what you feel. So I kind of just had to deal with it and just thought that was the way of life. But I knew eventually I would get it out, and I left little clues just like Daniel did. I used to draw. When I draw, I would draw myself as a girl. And yeah, school shopping, I would like try to get dresses and heels and all that, and just like very girly stuff that I would love as a little kid.
I'm loving this. So Hobbs is just turned 18, just had top surgery, like is manifesting himself the way he wants to be, but he didn't let me know until he was like 11. And I'm now realizing I had missed all these clues that y'all are talking about the kids left, because he dressed like the rest of his brothers. He played sports like his brothers. Everyone who saw him outside in the world was like, oh, your sons are so handsome. I'm like, sons and daughter. I was always correcting everybody else, but I was the wrong one. I was wrong. So I love the fact that you were like, yeah, I was drawing me as a girl, be like, hello, Mya, let's go. And eventually they got it.
Yeah.
Oh, We have interview questions.
I know we diverted.
You completely went off.
Well, because I want you to open up, Maya, like tell us a little bit more. So that's why we shifted to like some personal ones. Maybe that made you feel more comfortable in policy.
But I like being here. I actually like this space more than our questions because
our other questions. I agree.
You know, so talk to me about cheerleading. Do you still cheerlead? Are you going to cheerlead in high school?
I do. I'm going to be a cheerleader in high school. Yeah, next week is tryouts. So
you're about to bust it. You bust it out. Show them how you get down. That's what's about to happen.
Yes.
And Stephen, it's really, really cool because, and this is something I didn't know. So we have a sports ban in Arizona, and everyone was like, "This is going to be really horrible." But luckily, in certain high schools, they have, they have, what do they call it? What's it called? Deanna, you said it the other day.
Co-ed sports.
Co-ed sports. Thank you, Stephen. So they have co-ed sports, and so this thank you, Deanna, but thank you, Stephen, for the pod. They have a co-ed cheerleading team, and this allows Maya the opportunity to cheerlead the way she deserves to. And so it's super exciting to hear that there are still opportunities for trans youth to participate in sports.
Yeah, it's great. It's at least there's still some hope in that department. So yeah.
So can you share some of the successful stories of your advocacy with us?
Yeah, I think one of my most successful stories is the Arizona law one. I felt very proud of myself and that I did such good for the community, and I just felt very proud. That's my biggest one.
I was so proud of you.
Yeah, thank
Stephen,
you.
I have to tell you, I think I shared the story already in the podcast, but the meeting that my aunt had was like a week and a half prior to it being heard on the floor for floor vote. And we had a horrible meeting with this other senator who was awful. And so Daniel and Maya were in the back, and we get a call, and it's like the bill died. And I was like, oh my God, the bill died. And then it was cloudy, it was raining, and then Maya was like, oh my God, look, the sun's coming out. And the sun just started breaking through the clouds. And I was like, this is such a win moment.
Maya, you have to understand, you're actually famous for this because Lizette has told me that story. I can't tell you how many times. And now I'm actually meeting the person that she's been describing this whole time. Because, when trans prom, there was a gang of y'all out in these streets, okay? I couldn't keep up with who was who, coming from where. Y'all was just a lot. It was a lot to take in. And so it was like, I met you, I was like drawing a blank. And then you got here and I'm like, okay, kind of looks familiar. But now I actually know who you are. You're the Maya in the car when the sun came out.
Yeah, this is Maya. Maya, I wanted to ask you, because oftentimes we focus a lot on parents being supportive, but you have a sister who's always by your side and supporting you. What has that meant to you to have a sibling who is willing to go to bat with you and for you and beside you?
Yeah, I have 2 siblings, and I think that just makes it even better to have double. It's great to know that someone's always going to be there for me, even when things are terrible and seem like they're never going to be okay. But you just know that you have those 2 people that will always just be there. You can always call them or text them and just tell them how you're feeling. So yeah, I really love my siblings very much.
That's a great story. That's not a story. That's a great fact of life, because Hobbs has 3 siblings and they're very much like, you can't tell them nothing. You come for one, you come for all. Daniel don't know nothing about that. All he got is Chewy and Lizette. So you don't know nothing about that sibling love. But it's all right. Maybe one day y'all will.
It's never going to happen, Stephen. There's just Daniel. He's all by himself. But you've got Maya. They're buddies.
Yeah.
So Maya, let me ask you, I know, how old are you? 14? You're 14. So I don't know how much policy, you've gone to talk to senators and you've influenced bills, but I don't know how much policy that you actually pay attention to. But my question is, what kind of policies or laws do you think that these dumb senators should be considering?
That's a really good question. We have a lot of rights, and we deserve to use those, and we're all equal in every single way. So I think a law that should be at least considered is just there shouldn't be a stereotype for just humans. It should just be for humans. That's it, period. It shouldn't be anything different. Oh, you're a transhuman, you're a gay human. No, we're humans and that's it, period.
I hope y'all senators listening to this podcast hear the wisdom of babes. Like, this is what we need to focus on. We're all human. We're all human. Treat us exactly the same. Black, white, male, female, trans, cis, treat everybody the same. We won't have no problems. Out of the mouth of babes. Oh my goodness. Mya, where have you been? You should have been on our first podcast.
I don't know, guys. You didn't give me a call.
Listen, Lizette has been trying to get you on for a hot minute. Believe. I think you need to talk to Mom Dukes about, like, you know, maybe getting her an assistant so we can get on your calendar sooner. That's what I'm thinking.
Thank you.
We hear your mom in the background, so I do have a question for your mom, if she's willing.
Yeah.
But Deanna, what has it been like for you to see all of this anti-trans legislation and to see Mya really step into the activist chair in the way that she has?
Well, it's always been, scary and nerve-wracking. You don't know what the future holds. As a parent, you just want your child to be happy and to be treated like everybody and to live a normal childhood, that they don't have to worry about anything that's going to affect them in a negative way. So yeah, it's hard, but we just take it day by day and pray a lot. And I'm not good at talking in public, but I know that Mya loves to. So I just encourage her to, do as much as she can. And we appreciate it when she's asked to do that advocacy, because she does feel good about herself and that she's making a difference.
I'm not even going to allow you to act like you don't know how to hold your own, because you turn that camera around, you just spat game at us talking about, oh, I don't really like doing this. But if I got to do it for my kid, I'm glad that she got, like, that's what we're here to do, because I don't think people understand. It's regular people. None of us asked to be going up to the state houses to talk about making sure our kids can, hey, I don't know, play sports and go to the doctor and actually have their conditions taken care of by the doctor who figured out that's what they were dealing with. Like, why are we being treated as parents any differently than any other parent that takes their kid to the doctor? Mm-hmm. So tell me more about this, seeing your child, because from Mya's perspective, she was dropping hints. Did you see Mya when she first came, or did it take you a while to recognize that you had Mya?
We always knew she tended to go on the girl side of things, like, the toys that she would play with, her mannerisms, the music. Yeah. And the hair. She was obsessed with hair. So yeah, there was little things that told us that, she loved all that stuff. Mm-hmm. She felt more like herself when she was involved in all those things. But it was actually her second grade teacher and the social worker at school that reached out to me and said that they just had seen a difference in Mya's demeanor and her mood, that she seemed like she was more depressed. She wasn't herself. Like at the beginning of the year, she was dancing and participating in activities and stuff. And then they just saw her kind of like decline and just not really want to do anything. So they were really concerned about her. And I think that Mya had talked to them about her being a girl. And I think they were at first a little scared to tell me that, but I kind of figured it out that that's what they wanted to tell me. So I went ahead and said, yeah, we've been actually, looking into all of that and realizing that, she's a girl. And then that's when they just said, well, you know what, we're going to support you in any way that we can. And that's where it started. And then actually that same week, she went on a camping trip with my husband, with her dad and her sister. And there had been quite some time where she was not using the restroom. She was just not wanting to use the boys' restroom. So it made her not want to go. And so she's, having a lot of issues with that. And I had to go pick her up. We were in Patagonia. And I remember I had to meet my husband halfway because she was having so many accidents and she was just not happy. Like she just did not want to use the restroom. And that's when I was actually watching YouTube videos about, being transgender while they were away. I was by myself. So that's what I was doing. doing. And it so happened that on my way over there, it was a good hour drive. I was just thinking about it and said, you know what? I don't want my daughter to be so unhappy like this. Like, she's just not a happy child right now. It's horrible. And so when I picked her up, she was in the back seat, and I have pictures because I let her use my phone while I was driving, and she had taken pictures of herself, and those pictures, she just looked so depressed and so sad. Like, it just said everything. But anyways, I was looking at her through the mirror, and I just saw that a sad child, and I said, Maya, what would you think if I told you like you could be a girl? And just her eyes just like opened wide, and she was like, what? Yes. Yes, that's what I want to do. And right away, the questions came, well, can I go to school on Monday and wear a dress and just be a girl and change my name? And I said, I don't know, maybe we should finish the year out, and then next year you could come in and be who you are. And so she kind of was quiet. She's like, okay, but I could see the difference in her demeanor and stuff. And the next week, we're planning for this like next year and stuff. And I told her, you could dress how you want at home, and we'll call you by the name that you want and at home, but at school, not yet. And then just that next week, she took it upon herself to go to the principal's office and tell the principal, I want to use the girls' restroom. Can I use the girls' restroom? And this is who I am. I'm a girl. And the principal was like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, that's fine with me, but I gotta make sure your mom's okay with it. And so she called me and she said, I have Maya in here. Or at that time, somebody, named differently. I have Maya in here, and I just want to make sure that it's okay with you. I said, yes, it's okay with me, but this wasn't supposed to happen till next year. And she's like, no, we have no problem with it. And so then that's where it started. And then she decided that she wanted to be Maya. That was the name that she chose. And it's ironic because that is what I was going to name her if she was going to be
had
a
the
girl.
doctor gotten it right, you know what I mean? Had the
Okay,
doctor
I
been
just
like,
want you to know,
have a girl.
I have had nothing but goosebumps the entire time you told me the story. This is such a heartwarming and beautiful story, and I'm so happy that you're sharing that with us, because that's what people need to understand. We're not monsters trying to make our kids anything. We are parents who love our children dearly. It's so painful to be loving our children this much that we are going to move heaven and earth to protect them. Like, I don't understand how people could think ever that we do anything but love our kids, because I am willing to move heaven and earth to make sure that they can live in a life where they don't have to question who they are, because everyone just accepts them. It's like Maya said, we're all just human. We're just all human. There's nothing that separates us, but y'all are doing this. So I just love that story. I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that story is not uncommon, right? Like, our kids are having some understanding of who they are and don't have language and don't think it's possible that what they're experiencing is real, or that there are other people like them. I think that's why, like, kids like Daniel, I remember I had the same experience of looking at Daniel through the rearview mirror and saying, hey, Daniel, I heard your friend refer to you in male pronouns. Is this how you feel? And Daniel told me, I know my body doesn't match, but in my heart and my mind, I'm a boy. My heart and my brain, right? And so I think that they're just trying to find ways. It wasn't, and honestly, for as much as we give Caitlyn Jenner a lot of shit, this for us was 2015. And when Daniel had heard about Caitlyn Jenner, he was like, there are people like this. Like, it was like the first time that he saw himself truly reflected, right? Or when he learned about Jazz Jennings, and he was like, wait, this can be me. Like, this can be my experience. Because I think
that's why I was watching on YouTube. I was watching Jazz Jennings.
Yeah, they just don't know it's even like what they're experiencing is real for themselves. So I can't only imagine the cognitive dissonance that they're having when adults are also, like, the adults in their world are also not able to give language to their experience. So thank you for sharing that.
I have another question for you, because like, I think we all kind of did like the search. What did your search to try to understand what Maya was going through look like?
Well, like I said, I mean, not the best, but YouTube videos, internet searches. And I started looking up like books. So I started ordering books, and then I think by that time I already reached out like to Lizette, and she mentioned Dr. Rich. So I reached out to him, and just all the education that he gave us.
Who's Dr. Rich?
He's a psychologist here in Tucson.
He's a clinical psychologist who works almost exclusively with trans youth, and he's been here for decades. And so we were really lucky to have him.
Yeah.
So what has the world looked like since you saw Mya for who she was and supported her?
How has the world looked like?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, ugly.
Talk about it. I mean, I'm not asking you to sugarcoat it. I'm like, what does the world look like for you now?
I mean, there's just people that don't understand. And, that's why I tell Mya, you need to educate as many people as you can so that you can make a difference and change their minds.
What does that feel like?
Like she shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to, but that's what reality is. And maybe that, that's her purpose. That's one of her purposes, not just the main one, but maybe that's one of the things that she's going to do.
Stephen, I will tell you that Mya is, so I call them my BIPOC baddies. Deanna, you probably never heard this.
The what?
But when my BIPOC baddies, Black, Indigenous, people of color, but they're like my baddies because they're all baddies. Like there's like 5 of them and that I know, Stephen, these little young trans girls. Mya's, I think, the oldest, right, of them. And whenever I'm like thinking about just policy, Deanna knows this because I'll be like, I'm sorry, Deanna, I'm calling you again to bug you for something. But I'm always like, I always think about them when I'm thinking about policy or things that are happening. And so Mya is just like, you see her sparkle, like right now when she was talking to us, and she's just like, she's Mya. Like, I love it. But she's having a quinceañera. And for people who don't know what it is, like a sweet 16, but like a Mexican, it happens when you're 15. And Mya played, can I share this, Deanna? Can I share what song? Okay, so Mya is doing like in a quinceañera, they do like dances, like in Sweet 16, right? And so Daniel's in Mya's quinceañera and they're doing like the group dance with with their partners. But then Mya's doing a dance by herself and her friends. And the song is a mashup, Stephen, of Shaka Khan's I'm Every Woman, but sung by Whitney, mashed up with Madonna's Vogue. And I was like, Mya, like you are asserting and affirming your own self, like in that bell hook quote that I gave in our last episode. I said, but you're also like giving flowers to your transcestors through Madonna's Vogue. Like it's a kiki, like in the best way. And I feel like if you needed a song that embodied who Mya is, that's the song.
Yeah, it was like a perfect song that she chose. And I couldn't do it because it's like it's an old song. They're both old songs. And she chose those songs. I was like, wow, pretty awesome.
And I'm just, it's just who she is all the time, right? Like Mya's here and like unashamed of who she is and like proud and beautiful and worthy of all these things. And I adore her. And I know that when Mya steps into those spaces of advocacy, she makes a difference every single time. So that's why I wanted you both on the podcast, because I just know that Mya makes the difference every time.
Yeah.
Just so that we're clear, I'm loving this episode so much. I just got the title for our episode, BIPOC Baddies with Mya Figueroa. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
They are my BIPOC baddies.
Oh my goodness.
They're so cute. I can't even tell you.
And I'm saying, Mom, you're a baddie adjacent because you made this fierce child, okay? You brought her into the world and you support her. And I just, again, when you turned the camera, I was just like, oh, I just love this person's energy. Deanna's energy is all that, because it takes these types of parents to raise these types of kids who are just ready to go out into the world, take the world by the throat and just keep it moving. Like, we can't allow our children to be afraid to be themselves. And it's hard when your children are gender expansive because people come for them. But if you create confident children, like, come at me at your own risk. I'm a BIPOC baddie. What?
They are my baddies. It's like 5 of them. Stephen, I cried. I took them into this meeting. Deanna trusted us. But I took 2 of my baddies into this meeting, and they just were like, excuse me, when Senator Kavanaugh tried to misgender Mya, and all of them, they were like, no, we're not having this. And you just see them. I know it's hard, and they don't deserve to have to defend who they are, and yet they're always willing to do that for the people around them. Like they do it because they know it helps other people. Yes. And so I guess my next question is for Diana and Mya. If we could rid the world of discrimination and bias, what is Mya's like ultimate dream for the future? And Diana, what would you like to see in the future if you could just eliminate all the anti-trans legislation and like all the bigotry? What would be the ultimate dream for Mya and for other trans kids?
Just that she's seen as just anybody like anybody else, and that she deserves equal rights as everybody has to healthcare, to using the bathroom, everything that's for everybody, and that she wouldn't have to worry what's going to happen in the future for her, and that she has everything that she needs available to her, like her healthcare. Yeah, it would be perfect.
Mya, what do you dream of?
I dream of healthcare being much cheaper, maybe even free, because it's super important to people, to trans people especially. And this is so off topic, but like I was looking at it today, tampons and pads, you have to pay money for them in the public bathrooms. Let's change that. Let's make them free. I'm sorry. Can they help that?
Yeah. And also let's get rid of the pink tax. I'm all about it.
Yes.
Lizette and Stephen, my husband's here. I don't know if you want to ask him anything. He's just not going to be on camera.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Martin. The whole family's here.
So we're going to close with the same question we just asked Diana and Mya. What does a future world look like when there's no discrimination against LGBTQ plus people?
What does it look like?
What's your dream for that kind of future?
That would be my dream completely, because every morning I wake up, I pray that nobody's going to hurt my child because of who she is. I pray for other children, for their safety and their well-being, like meaning also like the bullying at school needs to, I wish it just would go away, and acceptance is the biggest thing. That's my thing. But as a father of a trans child, you never stop worrying about, especially when you got these damn senators that spew nothing but hate towards this community that has really done nothing to anybody, never hurt anybody. And all they do is just spew hate. Kind of like when Donald Trump was spewing so much hate towards Mexicans, and you had that one kid who was very deranged and went and bought a gun in Colorado and drove to El Paso to kill as many Mexicans as possible. When you have people like that, when you talk with so much hate, it brings people that are off. They're not, they're not safe people, and they can do harm to the LGBTQ community just because of senators and people that are in office. Just spewing that to me, that would people would just stop doing that. That would be so great.
You know what? So I really hope people listening are hearing what we're hearing. No one's asking for $1 million. No one's asking to be rich. No one's asking to be famous. People are asking to be able to use the bathroom, to go to school, not be bullied, to not be attacked, not have people spewing hate for them. Very simple things that I think everybody wants these things.
To live full, long lives at the end of the day. Yeah. Stephen, I wish that Martin was on camera, but he really is our Mexican Wayne. Because, so Martin, you don't know Wayne, but he's one of the dads that was on this documentary called The Dads with Stephen and Jose. And I feel like you are the Mexi version of Wayne. Like you guys are all about the fishing, all about the going outdoors and hunting and doing the things.
Okay, so Martin, we need to bring you on our next trip.
Yeah, you both have trans daughters. Just so you know, Mya, Wayne Main's daughter is
Supergirl, Yellow Jackets.
So she's like a famous actress in Hollywood. I don't know why we haven't connected y'all. The first time I ever met Martin and Diana, like the love that they had for Mya it resonated in such a deep way. And so thank you all for being here on our podcast and for sharing that love. And Martin, thank you for jumping in and being here. We got to get you with the other dads so you guys can go fishing and talk all the hard things about loving your kids and wanting them to be safe. In. Yeah.
I'll get your contact information. I'll bring you into the group.
Awesome.
And then, and Mya, you've now learned that I call you a baddie everywhere I go. I'm like, hey, wait, my baddies have to come. How do we get them to this event? keep being the incredible, outspoken, beautiful, talented person that you are. And I think what I would like to see is for you to be Glenda in Wicked one day. I want to see you on Broadway. I know that you got to bring the voice out.
That's like actually one of my life goals is to play Glenda.
I know.
Child, we asked you your dream. You was talking about bathrooms. You want to be Glenda. Stop playing with us.
Okay, come on now.
But Glenda would make the world better, wouldn't she?
She would.
All
We
right.
also need to go on another Ulta trip again.
I'm in. You know that. You count on me.
All right. Mya, Deanna, Martine, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on our show, and I can't wait for this episode to come out.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for
having me.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity and having us.
Bye.
Now it's time for our recurring segment, Allies and Assholes, where we highlight individuals or groups who are supporting the LGBTQIA community on the one hand and call out straight up assholes who are trying to move us all backwards on the other. Lizette, who are we talking about today?
Oh, Stephen, I'm like really excited about this week's Ally of the Week, which is Minnesota Governor and presumptive VP candidate Tim Walz. This week, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris named Governor Tim Walz her running mate for the 2024 presidential election, creating a pro-equality ticket. Walz has been a consistent ally of LGBTQ people, going back to his time as a high school football coach who agreed to be a faculty liaison for the Students' Gay-Straight Alliance. As governor, Walz has consistently supported LGBTQ plus rights, including signing a law to protect transgender youth seeking gender-affirming care in Minnesota, and pushed for policies that ensure inclusivity in education, healthcare, and housing, making Minnesota a safer place for LGBTQ plus individuals.
You know, Walz's commitment to inclusivity in education, healthcare, and housing shows that he's not just talking the talk. He's making real, impactful changes. Plus, his executive orders safeguarding LGBTQ plus rights are crucial, especially in a time when we're seeing a lot of pushback in other states. It's leaders like Walz who help create safer and more supportive environments for our community.
And this is why Tim Walz is our ally of the week.
Congratulations to Governor Walz. Now onto our asshole of the week. Our asshole of the week, coincidentally, is Republican Vice Presidential candidate JD Vance. A once supportive ally of LGBTQ plus people with a close transgender friend, Vance has abandoned his former values, embracing anti-trans rhetoric to align with Trump and appeal to MAGA voters. Numerous articles and reports with his former friends note a troubling shift from kindness to cruelty as Vance now exploits trans issues as a political tool. Vance's calculated change underscores his willingness to sacrifice decency and integrity for political gain, making him a dangerous figure in today's political landscape.
It's honestly infuriating to see how JD Vance has turned his back on the values he once held. He went from being supportive and compassionate to exploiting trans issues just to score political points. This shift from decency to cruelty, all in the sake of aligning with the Trump and MAGA base, shows a complete lack of integrity. It's a stark reminder of how dangerous political opportunism can be, especially when it targets vulnerable communities like trans youth.
What's even worse is the way Vance has also turned against the immigrant population, even though he is married to a South Asian woman, even though he has children who are biracial. When it comes to attacking Kamala Harris for her biracial identity, he's going balls to the wall as if he's not also a person married to a person of foreign descent and raising children who are biracial. And this is why JD Vance is our asshole of the week. Well, that's our show for today, folks. I want to thank today's guest, Mya Figueroa, for joining us today. And of course, I got to give it up to my co-host with the mo-host, Lizette Stephen, for being the all-around amazing person that she is.
And Stephen, thank you for always holding it down, even in the middle of starting a bajillion needed and necessary organizations. You know I couldn't do this without you, and we couldn't do this without all of you, our listeners. So thanks for tuning in to the Parent Advocate Podcast.
And folks, please be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and do all the things you got to do to stay up to date with everything going on here at the Parent Advocate Podcast.
Goodbye.